Welcome back, everyone. I am now accompanied by the co-advisor of Foundation Time, Mr. Phil Prince. Thank you very much for being here, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, okay. But before anything else, I would like to congratulate you for the comeback of Foundation Time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sir, as the advisor of Foundation Time, what are the challenges that you have encountered in the process of bringing back the school paper?
I think one of the greatest challenges was the level of training that I ran into when I first got here. The university here doesn't have a set journalism program. Yes. So the newspaper fell under the broadcast communications department. Unfortunately, a lot of the students haven't had any kind of journalistic writing classes yet, or the students that we're using for the newspaper. So it was a matter of basically training incoming freshmen from scratch on how to write, how to go get stories, how to interview, and how to put a newspaper together. And I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges, was within one semester to bring, their level of skills up to the point where they could produce a newspaper. But they worked really, really hard. I mean, we had a really good group of kids, and they got it done, and I'm actually really proud of them. One of the other issues that we ran into was equipment. Because it was a whole new section that was being added to the Broadcom department, we didn't have enough computers, we didn't have things like cameras, voice recorders, things like that, everyday things that you usually use in the field of journalism. But throughout last semester, I was working with a university in the United States who ended up donating equipment, wow, which helped us a lot. So now we actually have the tools that we need to put out the newspaper. Oh. So I think those were probably the two biggest challenges that we had to face.
Okay, so but the transition was okay, or was it bad, or?
I don't think it was bad at all. I just think it took a lot of work from the students.
So you were doing seminars for the students, sir?
Yes, both writing seminars and photography seminars. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, before it was first-year students from Broadcom?
Yes, it was the first-year incoming freshmen.
Yeah. Okay. What were the experiences that you had before when you applied in Foundation?
Before Foundation Time, I was in Los Angeles, California, working as a freelance writer and photographer there it was a smaller local newspaper, the Gardenia Valley News, okay, and then doing any freelance photography work on the side. And then before that, I was in the U.S. military.
Okay. So your forte was really photography, but you also do journalism, writing, right?
I do both. I think my favorite is photography. I love photojournalism. Yeah. That's my main focus. But in the way things are going today, you can't just have one specialty in journalism. You have to be, if you need to take photographs, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to write. You have to be able to do video. So you have to have a lot of skills.
So you need to be versatile.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, but I was wondering, sir, how do you, what brought you here in Foundation University?
Well, I actually ended up here. I wasn't planning on staying in the Philippines. One of my friends is Luis Cinco, yeah, who's a photojournalist for the Los Angeles Times. Yes. And we had met, and he kind of mentored me for a while I was in the United States. Okay. And he invited me here to attend a photography workshop that he was doing along with another really great photographer, Eli Reed from Magnum. Yeah. And I came to the workshop, and I really liked it. And after the workshop was over, I decided to travel in the Philippines a little bit more. And while I was traveling, Luis contacted me and asked me, he said they needed to start the newspaper here. He thought I had the skills to do it. And if I wanted to stay longer in the Philippines, I could come to the university. Because actually what I do here, it's more of a volunteer thing. I'm not officially... Well, I'm on staff, but I volunteer to do it. The university lets me stay here, and then, if I need to go back to the United States for something, like I could fly back and the university would pay for that. Yeah. But as far as a monthly paycheck or anything like that, I don't get that. But I'm not really here for the money, because I think journalism is important, and especially starting at the university level, it's important to teach students, especially in broadcast communications, about journalism. Journalism is the cornerstone of a democracy, yeah, and which the Philippines is. And by the way, the Philippines is actually one of the most dangerous places in the world for journalists.
Yes.
Which is something else that's, we have to take into consideration with the kids and the stories. But nonetheless, journalism is important to society, and it's important to students at a university. It's their voice. It's someone that's looking out for their best interests and trying to tell the truth and give them the information they need to make their education here, or make the most out of their education here. So, that being the case, I felt like it was an important thing to do, and if I could be helpful in doing that, I was more than happy to do it.
But in the sense of like the trend here in the Philippines, or was it hard for you for the transition, like given you're in the U.S. and then here in the Philippines?
Yes and no. I think whenever you go to a new country, there's always a bit of a transition. But I've traveled a lot previously, so I'm used to, I saw it coming. It wasn't a surprise to me. Every culture is different, and you have to learn how every culture reacts to certain things, how to get things done. So, yeah, there was a learning curve when I first got here, but, it was manageable.
Yeah, okay. So you were working with Filipino students, right?
Yes.
So how was it working with them?
It's great. I mean, I'll say Filipino students have a lot of energy. I'll say that. But that's where my previous military experience comes in, because you have to corral them, kind of chase them around. But no, and they're really great. I've learned a lot from them. I think, I hope I've taught them something, but I learned a lot just from watching how they work.
But how about communicating with them, sir? Was there a hard time for you?
Not for me, I think for them. For me, it's fine because most Filipinos speak English, to varying degrees. So understanding them, I can understand what they say. I think sometimes when I talk, it may be too fast, or, so sometimes I'll get a blank stare. So I think, like I said, I think it's much more difficult for them to understand me than me to understand them.
Yeah. So I think that will be all of today. Thank you very much for being here, sir. It's such a pleasure
welcome.
to have you here.
Thank you for having me.